right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Indiebnb. Grant and I are joined today by Anthony Church out of the great state of Ohio. How's it going, man?
Oh, I'm great. And like I said, man, thanks for having me on here. I've been looking forward to it. So happy to be here.
Of course, we're stoked to have you on. Anthony actually found us, which is something that doesn't happen often for us here on Indiebnb. We're usually finding someone else to try to get on. So um, we're excited to have him on for that reason. Um, So Anthony, going through your music, listening through it on Spotify, you know, what would you say you are more, an artist or a producer?
It's funny because I definitely am still more of a producer, just working with different artists. Putting out my own music, that's really just been the last 3 years. I kind of looked at that as a way to get my sound out to more people and just really put my face out more as well. And that was around the time when I started taking social media a lot more seriously, making my own content. And I just thought, putting out instrumental projects, putting out singles with different artists, doing projects, full projects with artists, all those types of things. It would just be another layer to kind of the full story that I'm creating.
Hmm.
And that really is, technically putting yourself out there as an artist because your name's attached to it. People can see you, read more about you in the like Spotify bio and things like that. So yeah, that's been like 3 years of just doing that. But I definitely would consider myself more of a producer, still working with artists, crafting their project songs, things like that. So
Yeah, and well, let me ask you, how long have you been, would you have considered yourself a producer, when you started,
mhm.
whether it was making beats or, yeah, let's start there. When did you first start
Yeah.
making music? And then when did you start, maybe collaborating with others?
Yeah. So I got started directly out of high school. So I was 19 years old. I had
Hmm.
thought about producing before that. Like I knew what it was. And all throughout high school, I pretty much studied music production and different producers. And I just was kind of on the fence about it. And I really wasn't like mature enough to make the decision to commit to it. But so I think like once I got out of high school, I knew I needed to do something with my life that was productive that I was actually going to stick with. Because everything I did before, I just kind of like dabbled in it or just quit. So I knew I wanted to start this and just continue going. And so, yeah, outside of high school, 19 years old, me and my buddy, he started right when I did, and he was going to rap. So we kind of agreed I would make all the beats for him and he would rap on them. And we still work today. So, like, I've worked with him for, 7 years. So this is technically my seventh year of producing and just continuing to grow with him. And we kind of just learned on the fly, like from the very beginning, because neither one of us had done it before. So it was kind of just like figuring things out. And for me, it was I used a DAW called FL Studio, and it's mostly known in the hip hop community and like the R&B community as far as it's very easy to learn and just get in there and like figure it out. So I actually had it on my parents' computer first, like the free version, and I would just
Yeah.
go mess around. Then when I got into college, I bought a laptop for school and I was like, I'm just going to buy the full version and I don't want to get the cracked version because I don't want to give my computer some virus or something. I'm like, I'm going to pay
Yeah.
for it. I'm going to invest in it, invest in
Yeah.
myself. And just, I've had that ever since and just learned it every day, started making different things. And, um, it took a while to get a network of other people. Cause like I said about the social media thing, it wasn't for a couple years later where I realized, you can make all the music you want, but you actually have to put yourself out there, learn how to brand yourself, learn how to talk to people, connect, and learn how to collaborate. So, for me, just figuring that whole thing out, that was a big learning curve. 2018 specifically, that was a real tough year for me. Um, and just trying to get through that and learn how to, be myself, put myself out there more and tell my story through the music and through what I was doing, with the content. And it's just continued to grow. And but as far as producing itself, this is my seventh year. So this summer, July, will be 7 full years. So I'm just glad I stuck with it for sure.
Yeah,
So
man. Um, and did you have any kind of musical background beforehand that kind of, would help you, maybe with keys, knowing like, okay, I know how to play the keys a little bit,
mhm.
or, were you just going straight into using loops or, samples
Yeah.
and stuff? What was that
Yeah,
like for
it's
you?
funny because I was just talking about this on my show the other day with a guitarist. I told him I took guitar lessons when I was young,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I did it because my brother was doing it at the time too, and my mom was always like, if your brother does it, you got to do it too, because I was the younger brother. So it's like she always
Yep.
was like, if this one kid does it, I'm gonna make the other kid do it. So I took guitar lessons. I just remember being very frustrated with it, and it didn't last long. I don't even think I was in there for more than a few months, and just kind of gave it up. That was really the only experience I had with making music, and then it kind of just went away, and I never thought about it for a long time afterwards until probably like 10 years later. And then I discovered what production was, and just discovering the fact that you could do the work of a full band on a computer. That was like fascinating to me, that
Mm-hmm.
there was people out there making like hit records that they were just one person and a laptop. And obviously, like traditional music, that type of thing is never going to go away. But it was just a different side of music that I didn't know about, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that that was possible. So, as opposed to learning an instrument again, which I'm never going to count that out. Maybe one day I will sit down and try to, maybe I'll pick up guitar again, or maybe I'll try piano or something. As opposed to doing that to get like in the door and just start making things, I wanted to do production because I knew the learning curve would be a lot easier and a lot simpler. And I remember specifically because that was like my first semester of college. I would just go to YouTube and find different tracks and just sample them and practice sampling, because I knew that sampling was a big part of hip hop specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just go in there and just find old records and see. And my flips were just awful, because I just remember like I would try like soul samples and it would just be terrible. Um, and it was like, and that was part of trying to find my sound too, a little bit, and find like what my tendencies were. But it was just good practice. And like I still flip some stuff today, but definitely using like loops and then like creating my own stuff as well. Once I got VSTs, once I could kind of figure out a little bit of things, I still can't read music. I'm still not great with chord progressions, but it's really just using your ear and just figuring out what things work. I'm starting to learn keys more, and like what songs are in what key. So that's been helping me recently. And I just think it'll continue to evolve. But from the beginning, it was really just, how can I learn this as quickly as I can, without frustrating myself to the point where I'm just going to give up. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just kind of understanding that I had to take that time to go through that and, make it to where I am now. So,
Yeah. And do you use like any MIDI keyboards or anything like that, or are you just
yeah.
straight on the computer?
Yeah, so that first year, in the summertime, like me and my buddy, we went to Guitar Center, and we actually together we bought it's called M Audio is the company,
Mm-hmm.
the Oxygen 49. It's like one of their more popular MIDI keyboards. We bought that, and then the next year, around Christmas time, I actually got another one. It's kind of a mini one
Mm-hmm.
by M Audio. I think it's not the key station. I forget which one it is, but I use that for more of like if I'm traveling and things like that. Recently, though, I haven't actually been using it that much, MIDI in general. Like I'll still use the one upstairs, like the big one, every once in a while, but I've learned to kind of just be able to work in the box too, and just chop samples and align the drums, bring everything in to the grid now. I guess now that I just have more experience with it. And again, like if I could play, I'd probably use MIDI a lot more. I'd
Yeah.
feel like, okay, I'm worthy of using this, you know what I mean? But it's good to have around, just kind of be able to feel the music a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do have a couple keyboards, might eventually get more gear. I don't know. I kind of keep it very simple though with the whole process. So
Gotcha. So what goes into the process? Like if, let's just say it's just you and you're just like, I'm gonna sit down and make a track today.
yeah.
Is there like a specific, do you start with like, here's the beat I'm gonna use, or, here's the, synths I'm gonna use, where do you go to first to start
Yeah.
a song?
So for me, it's always been melody based. Like I
Mhm.
never start with drums ever. I envy the people that can start with drums and then build around it, because I still to this day can't do it very well. I always have to start with the melody. So it could be like a nice like chord pad or like some bells or something. Piano is for some reason I'm just attracted to the sound of the piano. It's a beautiful instrument. So like if I hear like a great like piano, or I even hear a sample, I might try to chop it and rearrange it into something that's my own and just kind of make something different out of it. So I always start there, and once the bass is down, you can pretty much get it going from there. I might add a bass line, and then I'll just get the drums to kind of lock everything in. What I usually do though is I'll do like 8 or 16 bars of something, kind of get the general idea of it. These days, I'm only putting probably 5 or 6 sounds in a beat because I learned that, especially when you're working with artists, you don't want to crowd it too much where the artist feels like they can't even like sing or rap or do anything with it. So I kind of got to the point where I simplified it down to only like 5 or 6 sounds in a beat. So once you get that 8 bar loop or you get those 16 bars, and you got pretty much what I usually do like the whole chorus, what that would sound like. Then I'll extend it out into, the 2.5, 3 minutes, however long the track's going to be, and just try to get, the song structure in place and just go from there. I usually don't spend more than an hour on a beat just because I think that, you don't want to get to the point where you're putting so much effort into one idea when you could be making more. And just
Mhm.
every idea doesn't have to be perfect either, because, when you're just in that flow of creativity, you kind of just want to get the idea done and move on to the next thing. So that's always been like my process, and just trying not to take it too seriously either, because like I said, there's always that next idea you can get in there and make, and
Oh
it could
yeah.
be even better. So
Yeah, I remember seeing a video one time of when Jay-Z was making the Black album and he went to visit Timbaland because he
yeah.
had like I think he had like 5 or 6 different people that produced on that album. It wasn't just one person. And
Hmm.
he went to see Timbaland and Timbaland just started playing like song after song after song. And then Jay-Z was like, hold on, go back, go back, go back. And it was the song for Dirt Off Your Shoulder. It was the beat for
Yeah.
that. And he
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's the one I want to use right now. And he was like,
That's like
fired
that's
up.
like that infamous video. And it's funny because Timbaland is actually a big part of why I began producing. I actually read his autobiography called Emperor of Sound when I was a senior in high school. I actually got thrown in suspension for skipping too much class. And so what I did was the guy was like, "Yeah, if you were in here Friday, you'll be in here Monday, so you better have something to do." So I went on Amazon and ordered that book because I knew that that book had just come out. And I actually read the majority of that book like while I was in suspension. I was like, this is very inspiring to me. Like, told a lot about his story and like just what he had to get through to become the person he ended up becoming and the person we all know. So
Hmm.
I still have that book upstairs too. It's like I always think about that as like a catalyst moment for me even like taking the leap of faith to begin producing myself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I always think about that when I think about Timbaland for sure. So
What do you think, Grant?
I mean, I love Timberland, obviously. I mean, then come on, him and Nelly Furtado. Ooh boy, like is it going? But you know, obviously, Anthony, want to ask you about like there is seems to be you have people who are producers, and then you have people who kind of almost like you flow into that DJ like state. Like, have you ever
mhm.
thought about doing something along those lines, and getting into that type of producing as far as like I'm going to create something and then have somebody sing over it in a long form, sort of like the Zed or any of that stuff, or
Yeah.
is hip hop your main lane you want to stay in?
Yeah. So I'll cover a couple different points of that question. So it's funny because my brother is a big EDM guy and he's actually a
Yeah,
music photographer. So he's gone all over the world pretty much at this point and photographed like EDM and those types of shows. So he's very familiar with that. And because of that, I became familiar with that whole thing. I've never been huge into that myself. I
hmm
respect it, and I respect that it's, worldly known and it's such a huge genre, and just the
yeah,
shows in general, they bring out millions of people. So I could never see myself really doing that, but it's funny because some of the producers that I listen to, Apollo Brown is one, and Jansport J is another. They're both like they're very hip hop based producers, and they do a lot of old school records. And they've gone on different interviews talking about, they're able to go specifically over in the UK and Asia. There's a lot of market for playing live shows with lo-fi beats and hip hop beats, and the people just love it. So I
yeah,
was like, that would be very intriguing. I don't see myself anytime soon doing something like that. I think it's something that you need to build a brand first, and you need to be pretty well established to get people to come and like actually receive the music and, real fans, you know what I mean? And, that's something those guys can do because they've been doing it for years and they're established. They have placements with a lot of big artists. So they've accumulated that fan base to be able to do that and have it work out for them. But I never knew that it was like that for hip hop. And I guess
Yeah.
apparently it's not like that much in the state, even places like New York and LA where hip hop is prominent. Apparently it's like that mostly in like Japan and London and places of that nature. But definitely something I've thought about. I'm not going to ever close the door on that. We'll see. Doing live sets, doing different shows. And it's another way to diversify your income as well. Being
Yeah.
able to do shows, and obviously artists can do that. You don't really think about producers being able to do that outside of, like we said, like dance music. So yeah, I've definitely thought about that, and it would be something cool. I just think there's a time and place for it, and I don't see it in the near future. But it would definitely be cool to get to that point to be able to do it. So
Got it. What for your, for currently like the people you work with now, like have you been like the backup the DJ at their live show? Like, and what's that like? What kind of live atmosphere have you been in so far, and what's been the best?
yeah, honestly, not hardly any, man, which is crazy. I'm really, a lot of my work is remote because of where I'm located. I'm not in a huge
Mhm.
city. I'm in like a small town and things like that. And not only that, I'm kind of an introvert as well. Like even my
Yeah.
show that I run is more, we do virtual stuff, like interviews kind of like this through Zoom and stuff. And
Mhm.
I actually haven't been to a lot of live settings. The last thing I was at was a buddy that was on my podcast. He wanted me to come to his show, which is here in town. We live in a town called Alliance, Ohio. And so I went out to that and just supported him. It was for like the local YWCA. It was like a fundraiser type deal. And so he wanted me to come out to that. I don't make it to a lot of shows though. I should probably do more of that just for the networking like aspect of
Sure.
it. Um, and again, I just don't close myself off to any of that stuff. It's just something that at where I'm at now, I guess I'm just more focused on building up what I'm doing. And luckily, with the whole social media era and the era we're in now with music, you're able to do a lot of online stuff and
Yeah.
kind of build it up. And that's where I've got a lot of my connections, just people all over the country, people all over the world as well. So it's been amazing, and it's just going to be cool to see where it goes. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing like what live settings I can make it into, in the future. So
Yeah. And one of the things that you were talking about samples earlier, and that kind of like jogged my memory. I was in the car today listening to some of your stuff. I always do the car test for a lot of our artists just to see like,
mhm,
you can't sometimes when you play it out loud on your laptop, you don't get it. Like, but like you,
yeah,
you get it better when you get like a bigger speaker system, a bigger sound. One of the ones that stuck out to me, you had a couple samples that sampled like motivational speakers within like
mhm.
within that. So like, what made you want to do that? Was it I scroll and I'm always hearing those people kind of going, but like, did you go to something specific that you were like, yo, I need to sample what he's saying from here and put it over a beat and it'll be awesome, or like,
Yeah.
what made you want to do that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I first did that on the Life Test 1, 2, and 3, which is like the first projects I put out that were instrumental. So I don't know why I decided to do it. I was kind of just like, I enjoy the instrumental part, but why not put something in there that's somewhat motivational? Specifically for the Life Test stuff, the whole point of Life Test in general was like talking about or trying to make it about the struggles of life and like how we persevere through them and like do that through music. So I thought, why not add some things in there to make that kind of make sense, I guess. And I'm doing it now on the new trilogy I just started, which is called Sound Origin. And it's kind of the same thing, but instead of like motivational in that way, it's more like advice for artists and why you should stick with music, why music is important, why creativity is important. So volume one came out in November and it has some different points on there. And volume two is going to be coming out in July. And I'm kind of doing the same thing. Like you'll hear different people in there. Some of it's from TED Talks, some of it's just from random YouTube stuff that I found. I think I would just go in and just search like motivational or like advice about whatever and just have it relate to what I thought that music, what the message of that music might convey to someone hearing it. I don't think I'm going to do that for like every project I do, I do want to do full instrumental albums that just have no words or anything. I just want to kind of have people get lost in the music. And I'm coming up with themes right now for stuff like that. But yeah, I'm glad you like that, because I just never, it kind of just was something that came like in the moment, especially when I was putting out those first few projects. I just thought it would make sense to kind of have it in there to fit with the theme as well.
Yeah,
So,
definitely,
but
definitely. You know, one more before we get to Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. Who's the dream collab? I mean, like anybody in the world, dead or alive, who do we want to come on a track with you and work with you?
oh man.
Fly him out to Alliance, put him on a plane, get him there, right in the studio with you. Who is it?
Man, see, there's so many, it's crazy because there's so many artists that like and producers that I listen to and stuff, and there's more every day just because the accessibility to music is so like much more now. I feel like I've discovered more artists in the last 3 years than I did my whole life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I don't know. Someone that comes to mind producer wise is DJ Dahi, who he's like a very versatile producer. He's one of my favorite producers. He's worked with like Tyler the Creator, Pusha T, um, so many people, Vince Staples, ton of different people, even across genres like Madonna and things like that. Like he's worked with all
yeah,
kinds of people. So he always comes to mind. And it would kind of just be cool to like see how his brain works, because I feel like that's where a lot of my love for different styles came from. It's because I would always watch his YouTube tutorials on how he made certain songs, and he would always sample something very obscure, or he would just pull in very different sounds to make his stuff. And he loved music, like no matter the genre. You know what I mean? He just had an appreciation for good music, and
yeah.
he's still doing great things today. So I definitely think he would be someone who, even if we didn't work, just learn from the dude. Just sit there and like watch him work would be great.
Yeah.
But
I like it. I like it. That's good. That transitions us well, as we go into Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. 20 questions right in a row. We're going to learn about you here, Anthony, and we're going to get it rolling right now. Cake or pie?
mm, I'd say pie. I don't eat either one too much, but pie.
Pie. All right. Salad or soup?
Oh, soup. Salad is a no for me, man.
Soup. All right. Sunrise or sunset?
I'd say sunset. They're both kind of the same, I guess. Depends on how you look at it, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
I'm a football guy, so I'd say touchdown.
Yeah. Well, the bonus question: Browns or Bengals?
It's funny because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'd say Bengals just because I think their fans are less annoying than the Cleveland fans, but that's just
Interesting.
me.
Cowboys fan up in Cleveland. They're up in
It's
up in
sad.
Ohio. It's tough.
It's sad because I've been through as much pain as the Browns fans, even though we've probably won more games, but we always lose the games that matter. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
sad, but
gotcha. Gotcha. Well, when after they lose a game that matters, are you going out on a night? You spend your night in, or are you gonna just go out on a night out in town?
I'm always a night in. And they do lose quite often. So that, that you would think that that would make me drink and go out, but no, I just wallow in misery. So
I like it. I
why
like
not,
it.
right?
All right. You walk into a party and your favorite jam comes on, are you more likely to do the robot or the worm?
Well, first of all, I'd have to go to a party, which probably would never happen. But if I did, my body's too brittle and frail to do the worm. So I'd say probably the robot for sure. I wouldn't be able to make it on the ground. I'd probably kill over. So
All right.
robot's
All
gonna be the
right.
one.
Robot all day. I like it. Guac or queso? Which one would you rather order?
Man, queso is amazing. Guac's decent, but I love queso.
All right.
So
All right. Waffles or pancakes? What's your go-to morning treat?
I would say pancakes. I used to eat waffles a lot as a kid, and then I got sick of them. So I became a not waffle person.
All right.
So
Anti-waffles. I like it.
yeah.
Coffee or tea in the morning?
Is there an either option? I would probably pick coffee, but I neither one is for me. So
Gotcha.
But
Dogs or cats?
dogs.
Dogs. All right.
Yeah.
Are you more like a ninja or a pirate?
Mm, I don't know. I have quiet footsteps. I could be a ninja. I think
I
I
like
could.
that.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful when Anthony's walking behind you. Quiet
Yeah, man.
steps. Not
I
gonna
could sneak
notice.
up. I could sneak up for sure.
I like it. Gatorade or Powerade? What do you like drinking better?
For some reason, Gatorade. It must be the branding.
Yeah,
Like I don't know. It's something about that. I lean more towards Gatorade.
I like it. All right. Toast or bagels? Kind of a
Oh, toast.
staple of breakfast.
Yeah.
Toast for sure.
Bagel.
All
Yeah, I
right.
can't do bagels. Yeah.
All right. Chips or pretzels?
Chips.
Chips. All right. Fries or tots?
Tots, as long as they're crispy. They can't be soggy.
No soggy tots. I like
Yeah,
that.
none of
All
that.
right. TV show or movie when you sit down after you've had a long day at work?
Mm, TV show because it's shorter and I can actually commit the time to it.
I like it. All right. Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah,
Bigfoot?
because I would hope that there's not yeah, Bigfoot too. I mean, I'd hope it's not just us. That would be kind of boring.
Yeah.
But
All right. Anthony, what about love at first sight? Is that
mm,
real?
I think it's real. I think it's
Yeah.
real.
Awesome. And give us two people who we ought to check out that you've either maybe produced or just somebody that two bands that are sweet, or two people that are like, hey, you need to check these guys out. They're my guys. They're on the scene.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the first person is the artist that I started with, like I was talking about earlier. His name is Jay Trey. So he's on all platforms, all like social media as at JTrey42, JAYPREY42. And then another guy I've been working with recently, he's out of Oklahoma City. He's a rapper and he just started producing as well. His name is War Mothershed. Um, and he just dropped an EP. I got to produce 2 songs on there. We've been working on a ton of music the last couple of years. Love that dude's energy. I think he's also on all platforms, just his name at War Mothershed. And that's his actual birth name too. I thought he has like one of the most badass names I've ever heard.
So it's
But
Warren Mother Shed or
War, so the actual word war is his first name, and then Mothershed is his last name. Like his birth actual name is that. Because I thought it was just his moniker, but then no, that's his actual name.
Well,
So
that is tight.
pretty cool. So definitely check
Um,
those guys out.
awesome. So I got JTrey42, War Mothership.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna get definitely check those guys out. Now, what's next for you? What's coming up? You said you got you got another instrumentals coming out in June,
hmm
the volume 2 of your first album. So anything else coming out? Any other projects that are on the horizon?
So volume 2, July, middle of July, that's coming out. We're working on the album for our collective called Proven Knowledge. So we're getting a bunch of different artists and producers from all over the country to help us out with that. A lot of people we've been connected with for the past 5 years, just kind of like celebrate what we've been doing. That'll be pretty cool. And then I'm working on a collab album with an artist who he's originally from Columbus, Ohio, but he's currently in Cincinnati. His name is Grizz. We put out a single last year called Solo. So now we're working on a full project together. And I hope that's out by the end of the year. He's taking his time with it, really just getting into the stories of it and that. And just, I mean, who knows what else? Could be a lot of placements coming up with different artists that I'm excited about and just working every day and just hoping for the best. So, but I'm definitely excited for, what the future holds. So,
Awesome. Awesome. We're excited you came on here. I'll toss it to you, Tash, to wrap us up in a bow, brother.
Yeah. Anthony, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for listening to us, being a fan of
yeah, man.
ours. We're a fan of yours now. And everyone that's listening, go check them out. Spotify, everywhere. Check them out on social media and be ready for some new music coming out.
Yeah. And I want to say, thank you once again to you guys. And I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to keep listening to you guys and keep doing what you're doing because it is great. And I love what you're doing for different artists all over the world right now. So thank you guys.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let us know if you want to sample anybody. We'll get you connected.
For sure, man. 100%. I'll be in touch, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.